name is Batzorigt. I'm from Mongolia. I come to Korea and I work at National Statistics Office of Mongolia about 9 years. During that time, my responsibilities are agriculture statistics, agriculture census, consumer price index compiling, foreign trade statistics, and net export side of consumer GDP and environmental and economic accounting, and lastly is the spokesperson in the National Statistics Office of Mongolia. And so now I'm working, coming to Korea, and I'm working the Ministry of Food, Agriculture and Light Industry of Mongolia. My department is General Planning and Policy Department, and my responsibility is fighting the agriculture sector statistics and research. My work is the main fundamental of an agriculture policy of in Mongolia, because I always compiling accounts, agriculture statistics and then agricultural related laws, some evolution. Okay. KNU is one of the 10 major universities of national universities of in Korea, and I really like to Korean climate and KNU campus world, and my research work is goal and very really matching in KNU goals in our classes. For example, we are studied in agriculture economics, agriculture and environmental economics, international agriculture policy, etc. And the Korean government is very strong in the world, because they are spends many percent of GDP as many percent of the GDP in this country. And to research and development, R&D is very important of main fundamental of developing in the countries. We are learned so many interesting field trips and so many interesting classes. For example, we are already in with Professor Shin, our scholarship programs director, Professor Shin. We are already so many field trips. There are, for example, I think west of the, or got to my side, in the west of the one is cattle painting in Parm. It is very interesting. And the main source and R&D and Hanu is Korean, very famous and very popular and within in the world. There is very quality and very expensive and very quality within the world. This farm's result of the R&D is the main fundamental of the Hanu with car farming, I think. And this farmers is another side is crop section, and another side is in the beef farming. It is very close. It is very important, because minimizing and relating costs in the cattle painting farming. And one of the very important is research and development agencies in Choncheon, and agricultural agencies in Choncheon as a Choncheon branch. It is very hard work. They are already compiled in relating Korean climate and precipitation and crops area. But they are already estimating it next century. Next century is very high way. My next plan after in these programs, okay, my plan is firstly I implement and adapted relating my thesis topic. My thesis topics determine the optimal number of the goat in Mongolia, because Mongolia is the very extremely climate in the country. We have in 40 to -40 in very cold and winter in the world in Mongolia, because Mongolian goat is Kashmir is the one of the main exporters income in Mongolia, and the main primary income in the households. But goat is eating in roots of plants in the grassland. Therefore, we are determined the optimal number of the goat in Mongolia. Okay, and I really would like to determine the Mongolian goat farming in issuing of relating in policy of agriculture in Mongolia. And individually, my according, I would like to establish in our individual goat cattle farming Because I'm a herdsman child, or in other words, my father and mother, there are so many long times in living in countryside within herders with camel, cattle, goat, sheep, and horse, 5 types animals in there are herding. Maybe I have main source I have in cattle farming in relating my parents. Actually, I already prepared in some relating documents on my individual companies. There's lastly in Korean about in Korea and thanks for especially. Okay, Korea is the very interesting country because very different culture in food in the world, because there are always firstly I'm really afraid always drinking cold water always winter and summer is likely with nice cold water. Why they are always drinking cold water? After 1 year after me, it's the same too. It's okay. Korean first entry in Korean after is I have I have big problem is the Korean food is spicy. Spicy. Before I don't like spicy foods in Mongolia because now I now likely in Korean food because I changed for food. I likely in other classmates in assembly likely in 닭갈비. 닭갈비 is the very good and very delicious, very nice, very healthy foods in Korea. Okay, and especially thanks for my supervisor. My supervisor is Professor Lee Dae-sub. He is very kindly and very helpful and very professional in professor. And he always advising in professional advising into my thesis and my future plan. Okay, many thanks for my supervisor. And next is our scholarship program's director of Professor Shin. Professor Shin Ho-jin is very nice and friendly and professor, and he is always take caring for all students. Okay, many thanks for and KNU and KOICA. KOICA is many thanks in the KOICA because so many I have choosing so many careers after in my country, because I already received in other companies and other civil services agencies working. Okay, maybe I will. It's very relating in the KOICA scholarship program. Okay, thank you. That's all. 감사합니다.